16 by 9, the bigger picture.
LASIK eye surgery is marketed as a safe way to get rid of your glasses, but a high-profile whistleblower says we're not getting the whole picture.
The question is, how many eyes are you willing to ruin to make a living?
For me, it has been a misery.
We hear a lot about finding a cure, but what about the causes of cancer? Meet a scientist who says the answers are all around us.
There is no requirement that chemicals be tested before they're allowed to be sold.
That's all coming up on 16 by 9. Here's Mary Garofalo.
Good evening and welcome to 16 by 9, the bigger picture. Perfect vision and a life without glasses. It's an almost irresistible promise, and it's had patients lining up for LASIK eye surgery for almost 20 years now. But is it as safe as they say? Tonight, our Sean O'Shea introduces you to a man who approved LASIK surgery in the U.S. and now says he wants it stopped.
Tell me the worst case scenario. Tell me what can go wrong.
We have never had any major complications.
It's marketed as 10 minutes that will change your life.
There's not really any chance of long-term things.
No, because that's why we do all these tests.
A quick laser blast to the eyes, and you can throw away your glasses.
Your eyes are dry. That would never be permanent.
No, it's not permanent.
But is LASIK eye surgery really the low-risk vision miracle some clinics are claiming? Not for this woman, it wasn't.
My name is Sherilyn Gilomino. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I had LASIK. For me, it has been a misery.
We'll get back to Sherilyn in a moment, but first, a bit about LASIK eye surgery, one of the most popular elective procedures on the planet. A quick cut on the outer surface of the eye with a tiny precision blade or a laser, another laser to reshape the cornea, and minutes later, 20/20 vision.
Great. We're all done. Just counting a few seconds.
Dr. Guillermo Roca represents the Canadian Ophthalmological Society and its 800 members. He's been doing LASIK for more than a decade and claims it almost never goes wrong.
It has been incredible in terms of the amount of precision, the safety, the efficacy that we have seen over the past 15, 16 years.
But listen to what a high-ranking American whistleblower says.
Is this a procedure that you would recommend to other people?
Absolutely not.
The man making that shocking statement was actually responsible for approving LASIK in the United States 15 years ago. Now he says they got it wrong.
I'm Morris Waxler. I worked at the Food and Drug Administration for 26 years, and I'm here because I'm concerned about the dangers of LASIK surgery. Well, we said that the adverse event rate should be no greater than 1%.
What percentage rate do you think had a problem with LASIK?
20 to 30%.
20 to 30%. That's at least 20 times higher than the 1% the industry claimed to get it approved.
Might there have been an incentive to conceal the truth or maybe even to lie in order to get this approved?
Absolutely.
Do you think that happened?
Yes, it did.
Waxler's suspicion started when angry patients started calling with LASIK horror stories.
I went back and looked at all of the pre-market approval that's on the FDA's website. And I said, how could we have been misled? How could we have made a big mistake like this?
Waxler went straight to his former colleagues at the FDA with his findings.
And they were just unresponsive.
Unresponsive.
Unresponsive to me. I did this in a number of calls and a number of letters, but they were unresponsive about these matters.
So this January, Waxler took an extraordinary step. He filed this petition to ban the procedure he helped approve. He's even calling for a criminal investigation.
The question is, how many eyes are you willing to ruin to make a living?
Well, it's destroyed my quality of life that I used to have. Everything that was easy before is now difficult.
Sherilyn Gilomino is talking about her life after the LASIK surgery she had 6 years ago.
You know, I had very dry eyes right from the beginning. The surgeon said that was normal. So if he said that was normal, then hopefully it was temporary and I'd be fine in a week or a month, like he said.
But she wasn't fine. It just kept getting worse.
When they were at their very worst, about 2.5 years or so out, my eyes were burning every waking minute of every day. I spent most of that summer unable to even read a children's book to my kids because they were just so painful.
Sherilyn has had to change everything just to make life bearable.
Well, when I wake up in the morning, I don't open my eyes right away because they're stuck shut.
She constantly moistens her eyes with drops.
I just had to stick drops in again. Story of my life.
She administers steam treatments twice a day. When she uses the computer, a timer goes off every 15 seconds, reminding her to blink. Ironically, Sherilyn is back to wearing glasses, not to correct her vision, but to protect her dry, aching eyes.
These ones are for outside. They block the wind. So I wear these when I'm at home just because then I'm much more comfortable, but they look hideous, so I don't usually wear them out in public, ever. These are the ones that are the most normal looking.
Walking down the street, you have to wear the goggles?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't wear the goggles, what happens?
Oh, my eyes, I'd start to get those sharp stabbing pains when I blink, so it's just not worth it.
Sharp stabbing pains?
Yeah.
Waxler says the industry just isn't willing to admit the real risks of cutting the cornea.
You're not cutting a piece of plastic. You're cutting a live tissue. So no matter how you cut it, you're cutting it. And the regrowth of those nerves are unpredictable.
This man disagrees. His name is Jay Herman, and he's the president of SigmaCon, a company that sells the latest generation lasers used in Canada.
With the modern technology, it's really about the pre-op. In normal, healthy eyes, there is very little that can go wrong related to the procedure itself.
Herman says Waxler's science is flawed, and that 20% complication rate is based on studies done with obsolete lasers.
It's not valid because that's a first, second generation laser. It's not manufactured anymore. It's not in use certainly anywhere in Canada, and it's not even the worst case scenario. It's a scenario that hasn't existed in a decade.
But Waxler insists his 20% number is based on all lasers, new and old.
I used every table I could lay my eyes on for all of the lasers that are approved, the most recent ones and the ones that were early approved.
Waxler says the industry got the adverse event rate down to 1% by calling certain problems complications instead of adverse events. In addition to dry eyes, some patients see halos around lights. Others have to deal with starbursts from oncoming traffic.
The 1% was to include all adverse effects. It didn't say only include adverse effects that we want to include. You can have really good outcomes if you exclude certain items from being in the adverse event category.
The LASIK industry might not consider Sherilyn's suffering an adverse event, but she sure does.
And you think it's hopeless. I'm going to be like this the rest of my life.
This young man knows that kind of despair all too well. 19-year-old Jason Campbell's world was turned upside down after his father got LASIK surgery.
The complications didn't just hurt my dad and his life. It kind of screwed my whole family's life over as well.
Welcome back to 16 by 9, the bigger picture.
Hindsight may be 20/20, but what happens when the promise of perfect vision goes wrong? 16 by 9 goes undercover to find out exactly what patients are being told before they trust their vision to the surgeon's laser. Here again is our Sean O'Shea.
My name is Jason Campbell. I'm from Antioch, Tennessee. My dad decided to get LASIK because eyesight was a very important part of his job.
Officer Larry Campbell was a well-respected and highly decorated police officer.
He was just like a loyal, good-working police officer who, supported his family and worked really hard.
In 2007, Officer Campbell was told he needed glasses. He decided to get LASIK instead. Things didn't go well.
His eyes were always dry and very sensitive to pretty much anything in the environment, in the air, and it constantly burned. Eventually, he got really depressed about it. Sometimes he didn't even want to wake up in the morning. And I asked him, Dad, you would never kill yourself, right?
But on March 16th, 2008, a terrible thing happened.
Usually my father would come home around 5 o'clock after work, and he just didn't come home that night. And as time went by and it got to 6 o'clock, we were like, where is he?
The 54-year-old husband and father of two never did come home. On his 25th anniversary as a police officer, he parked his cruiser and shot himself with his service weapon.
If I could see my dad, right now, I would just say I miss him and I love him.
Officer Campbell's suicide note left no doubt about the reason he took his life. Do not have LASIK surgery. Tell the media, my eye surgery has taken my life out of me. The pain, distorted vision, chronic dry eye, is not bearable. With his dad gone, Jason is carrying that warning to anyone considering LASIK.
I guess I would just ask them how important not wearing glasses is compared to risking your life falling apart.
Plenty of others have tried to warn the public too. There are dozens of websites dedicated to LASIK horror stories. And when 16 by 9 put the call out to hear some of them, the replies started rolling in.
The pain escalates throughout the day, every day.
Every day of my life, I am reminded of this horror.
Suicidal thoughts come and go.
Complaints of halos, starbursts, and blurred vision. Dry eyes that itch and burn. Dry eye sufferer Sherilyn Guillemino researched the risks before her consultation, but couldn't find solid numbers.
So I asked my surgeon. He said that doesn't happen. If you have the surgery, within a week, a month tops, you'll be normal.
But there are risks, and Canadian Ophthalmological Society spokesperson Dr. Guillermo Roca says patients must be told.
We need to present the information to them, knowing that there are potential risks.
16 by 9 decided to find out if clinics really are telling patients about potential risks. We went undercover at 3 Toronto area clinics, starting with the Yorkville Laser Eye Center.
Hi. Good, how are you?
Our producer went through a series of tests and discussed the results and options with 3 different people. And when asked about the risks, this is what they said.
Oh, wow. If I have glares or starbursts, what about night vision?
It's not an issue anymore, night vision. And like I said, right after surgery, it is. And it could last up to 3 months. But after that, it gets better.
There's not really any chance of long-term things.
No.
That's right. They said no chance of long-term problems. But we wanted to make sure, so we asked again.
So if that happens or there's any side effects, they eventually always go away?
They do, yes.
Next, we went to this clinic, LASIK-MD. Same story.
And so those glare and halos and that goes away?
Yes. And again at Herzig Eye Institute, we were told any complications are minor and short-term.
Your eyes are dry. Yeah. And then it goes away?
Yes, it does get better.
Okay. That would never be permanent.
No, it's not permanent.
All 3 clinics gave us pamphlets outlining risks. But in consultations, we were told none of them would be permanent. We wanted to find out why. LASIK-MD and Yorkville Laser Eye Center declined our request for an on-camera interview, providing this written response saying, surgery of any kind has some degree of risk of long-term complications even if that risk is remote. Patients are informed about these risks at several points during their learning process prior to the procedure. The medical director of the 3rd clinic, Herzig Eye Institute, agreed to talk to us. Dr. Sheldon Herzig says every patient should be told there are serious risks.
Absolutely. Every patient should know exactly what they're getting into.
And that means...
And there is risk of serious damage to your cornea. There is.
But wait, listen again to what they told us.
That would never be permanent.
No, it's not permanent.
Nothing about any serious risks.
So nobody told the producer that there were any risks in that particular consultation?
But that's wrong.
But we didn't hear that anywhere we went.
Well, you should. You'll hear it from me. I tell every patient.
We didn't hear that from your staff here. We didn't hear that in any of the other offices. Why wouldn't we hear that?
Once a patient gets on the path, the optometrist should be telling them that. Absolutely. Why the optometrist didn't tell them that, I don't know. I have gone over the list of risks, exactly what they should say word for word.
So word for word, they should be saying there's a serious risk to your cornea.
Yes. And absolutely. You don't have to hide things from people. This is a wonderful, wonderful, safe procedure. Do it on the right person, do it the right way, and the risk should be as close to zero as possible.
So how high is the risk? We wanted to ask the government agency that authorized the first use of the LASIK device nearly 20 years ago. Health Canada declined an on-camera interview, but listen to what they told us in a written response. Dry eyes, halos, and ghosting are all known and reported complications of laser eye surgery. Device labeling reports these complications as occurring in approximately 10 to 20% of all patients. A complication could be short-term or long-term, minor, or serious. That's right, device labeling, something patients don't get to see, backs up Morris Waxler's claims.
Frankly, they don't really know the exact adverse event rate, because they won't come to grips with the fact that these things that are adverse to the patient should be counted as adverse events.
Adverse events or complications, whatever you call it, Sherilyn Guillemino says nobody told her she could end up like this.
It's disgusting if they don't disclose it and they know the information. Everything I do, I have to consider how it's going to affect my eyes. I mean, they're uncomfortable most of the time. It's just, you know, I mean, how is that worth it? Who would want that?
Coming up on 16 by 9.
If you want a chance to play a hero, here it is.
And I think that the truth is that no matter where we are, we're all exposed to chemicals.
That's all coming up